I wear a Purple Heart. I was wounded in combat, but not all wounds are visible. Our veterans come home injured emotionally. One of the things that I've been working on with Catherine Borges, county legislator, and County Legislator John Testa, we attended a meeting trying to get a veterans court. Because a lot of times these veterans come home and they have a lot of issues and they wind up on the wrong side of the law. So rather than to incarcerate them, let's get them some help. Especially here at Montrose, we have a great PTSD unit. Let's have the courts look at them and look at what they've done and maybe mandate them to treatment where we could have a good law-abiding citizen, a veteran citizen at that. The thing that we just did, we pulled off, is we took the veterans from the PTSD unit, inpatient veterans, and I organized a trip to, along with Chapter 21 of the Military Order of the Purple Heart, a trip to Washington, D.C. Through donations and everything. We took a busload of them down to the wall, to the Korean War Memorial, and to the World War II Memorial. We laid a wreath at the Vietnam Wall, and some of our veterans, Vietnam vets, had an emotional moment. Some of them broke down, understandably so, but it is a healing wall. These are some of the things we do at the county level. And I thank the Westchester County Veterans Advisory Board, who donated a nice sum of money towards this trip, along with the Vet-to-Vet program out of Westchester County, who paid for the bus. These veterans were totally overjoyed at the fact that somebody cared about them. With that said, I will continue to advocate on behalf of our veterans, because I believe in one thing: we leave no one. We leave no one behind. Thank you. God bless America.
Thank you, Willie. At this time, I'd like to ask Assembly Woman Sandy Gill to come up and say a few words, please. Sandy?
Thank you. Thank you so very much for allowing me to share this very special day with all of you. On this day, as we honor and recognize those that have served and continue to serve our country in the military. And I always feel a rush of gratitude to each of our soldiers, and especially on this Veterans Day as we commemorate the 100th anniversary since the end of World War I. 4 million American soldiers fought in that war. As we remember this special anniversary, we also remember all the wars and conflicts since then. We salute those soldiers in many ways. We honor our veterans at events like today and on Memorial Day. We work toward providing necessary veteran services. I think the Veterans Court is a very special project that needs to be done here in Westchester County. We work with veterans for employment opportunities through our governments and our not-for-profit agencies. And we support the many veterans organizations that bring so many outstanding services to our communities. But we have also at times commemorated our veterans by, as Willie has on his bucket list, by roads, highways, and bridges for those who served our country. And for those of us who travel throughout northern Westchester and Putnam County, you see on the Taconic Parkway over the Croton Reservoir in Yorktown that there are signs naming the bridge the AmVets Memorial Bridge. We did that in 2003 by passing a New York State law, and every time I know I go over the bridge, I think of the AmVet veterans. And then in 2005, we named Route 9D in Dutchess, Putnam, and Westchester the Hudson Valley POW-MIA Memorial Highway. In 2014, we named the bridge on Bryant Pond Road in Putnam Valley on the Taconic the Disabled American Veterans Memorial Bridge. And this year, checking off Willie's bucket list, in 2008, we passed legislation to commemorate the estimated 1.8 million Purple Heart recipients across our great nation by adding signs on the Bear Mountain Bridge so it will be forever known as the Purple Heart Veterans Memorial Bridge. The signs are being installed, I think right now, with the dedication ceremony to take place tomorrow at 1 o'clock at the toll booth at the Bear Mountain Bridge. And please join us, but if you do, be sure to carpool because there's a limited area for parking. Senator Bill Larkin and I got the legislation passed in June, so we are going to join the Purple Heart veterans and be very excited on Monday afternoon. And every time we cross the Bear Mountain Bridge, which I do all the time, going to Albany or coming back, and I remember the Bear Mountain Bridge connects West Point and Camp Smith, and so it is very appropriately named for the Purple Heart veterans. And it will remind all of us as we pass this bridge of the Purple Heart honor that so many have received, including Willie Nasario. All these tributes that I've mentioned, along with so many others, allow us to remember just on a daily basis, even with a sign, the people that have been there, that have made our nation what it is today, who fought, sacrificed their lives, or become somewhat disabled because of the service that they provided to our country. So as we go forward, as you cross all of these crossings and many others throughout the state of New York, please remember the men and women who served us so well. Thank you very much. God bless America.
At this time, they ask the County Legislator John Tester to come forward and say a few words.
I like saying that, Commander. Good morning, everyone. I want to thank the American Legion for allowing me to be a part of this ceremony again this year. It's an honor and a privilege to be here to honor our soldiers, sailors, Marines, airmen, and Coast Guardmen and women who served our country and are still serving our country, and also their families, because really to take care of our veterans is also to take care of their families and recognize their families. As we see today so vividly locally, that those veterans who come home also become our first responders. It's in their blood. Serving their community is in their blood. We have to make sure we give them all the necessary equipment and facilities that they need in war as well as home. Our first responders deserve all of their equipment and everything else they need to do their job in a safe way, to keep us safe, but also to keep them safe. So we got to continue to do that. On the 100th anniversary of World War I, we look back at all the veterans from our community here in Peekskill. Many of the names that were mentioned even that passed over the last year are people we know their families, and we have to make sure that we do what we can. I try to do what I can as an elected official, whether it's a veteran-owned business, whether it is health services that are needed, whether it's just helping them fill out an application or getting our Veterans Office to help them with such things. I supported the the bridge, the renaming of the bridge for the Purple Heart Memorial Bridge. Actually, I started with Willie when we thought it should have been the Tappan Zee Bridge, but we won't go there. We won't go there. But actually, as Assemblywoman Galiff put it, I think it might even be more appropriate that it's the Bear Mountain Bridge because of the West Point and Camp Smith connection. So I'm proud that I was able to lend my support locally to that. So I think that's something that's very, very important that is done. So what I'd like to do is just read a quote from President Lincoln. Of course, I have to stick President Lincoln in there at some point, who recognized it's great to have these ceremonies, it's great to have these events, but this is an everyday occurrence where we need to be making sure that we take care of our veterans and their families. According to President Lincoln, to honor the soldier and the sailor everywhere who bravely bears his country's cause. Honor also to the citizen who cares for his brother in the field and serves as best he can the same cause. Honor to him, only less than him, who braves for the common good the storms of heaven and the storms of battle. God bless our veterans and their families, and God bless America.
I'd like to ask the commander, John Donahue, to come forward.
We would be remiss if we didn't remember our first responders, and especially those who have given their lives for our country. I am proud to have the Chief of Police step up here and speak about one of our first responders from the police department, and all of the firemen know about Otis, who is one of the first responders who died as a result of being at the World Trade Center. That's where another thing started, and we are at war. Remember that.
Thank you, John. As we all know, it takes a special person to serve this country. Our veterans are special people, and we go around today. We thank, these special people. Everyone we see, it's thank you for your service. Thank you for what you did to make this country the great country it is. I want to speak for a second about someone that's not here today that we were unable to say thank you to in person, and that's Charlie Wassell. Charlie Wassell was a Peekskill kid. He grew up here in Peekskill down in Blelock Park. And as he was becoming a young man, he got the call for service. As many as or all of our veterans here have. He got that call, and he joined the Marine Corps. And he proudly served in the Corps. I mean, I've seen many pictures of him, in his dress uniform, and he really stood out. And when it was time for Charlie to move on from his Marine Corps duties, what better position to take? He went from serving, the greatest country in this world to, serving what arguably could be the greatest city in the world, but the greatest big city in the world. But the call was still great to his community, and Charlie decided that really where he needed to be was serving his community, and he transferred here and became a police officer here in the city of Peekskill, and he served, admirably. He served with honor here in the city of Peekskill, and he truly was, one of our great cops. Unfortunately, as we all know, 17 years ago, this country was attacked, and when Charlie, found out about that, as did many, he rushed down to ground zero, and he made it a point to be there, to go through that rumble file to make sure that any of his comrades, any of his fellow Americans, could be rescued, could be saved. And he, spent tireless, hours there and days. And unfortunately, through those efforts, Charlie got sick. And after a few years, Charlie succumbed to, the illnesses that, that the wreckage that caused. So we've lost Charlie. Charlie passed away, but Charlie lives on in a legacy here in the city of Peekskill. If you don't know, we have a canine here named Charlie, who was named after Charlie Wassell. And Charlie, the canine, Charlie Wassell, the cop, the Marine, the American, they kind of are very similar in one way. And just like in this great country, Charlie stood proud and tall and strong. And he looked to be the type that you could almost be a little bit intimidated to approach, that he was a little bit scary to look at sometimes, the way he, just stood there like that. But Charlie was a teddy bear at heart. And just like this country, who stands, fierce and strong and tall, but will do anything for anyone. And that was what Charlie was like. And, the last thing I would like to say is that for the veterans, everyone that's fought for this country and everyone that's stood at a wall for this country, and anyone that's been there just to protect this country, they've done it so that we can speak, so that I can speak here and I can say anything I want right now. I can say anything that comes to my mind, anything I feel. But there's only two words that I feel. There's only two words that need to be said, and that is thank you. Thank you, Chief.
Now I can say a few words. It's going to be brief. As the new elected county commander for the American Legion, first thing I'd like to do is ask all my veterans, please to stand up. All of you, please stand up. You guys over here, you're the veterans, just step out front for a minute. At this time, I salute you and thank you for your services and welcome home. Okay, thank you. As you heard people say here tonight, the public officials about the veterans, helping veterans. That's part of my, as commander, that's going to be part of my job, is to help veterans. And I believe that really from the bottom of my heart, that we got to help our own, help ourselves. If anyone knows about a veteran who's a little shy nurse, needs help, please feel free to call me. I'm in the phone book. There's no problem. Come by my house. I'll be willing to help you. So I'm going to make it short. It's getting cold, and we want to ring the bell at 11 o'clock. So I want to thank you. And Joe Brady, please. So I guess thank you.
I'm going to play a tune that was written by a piper from the Black Watch who fought in World War I, and this tune is appropriately named When the Battle is Over.
Okay, I'll go do thank everybody for, I'd like to thank the mayor and council and the city officials for letting us, with our support, to get the service on the road. Park and Recreation, the fire department, the police department, and the city manager, the Department of Public Works. At this time, I don't know, I got 3 minutes to 11, right? I got 3 minutes to 11? 2? Oh, okay, I can do 2 minutes. All right, let's see how I can do 2 minutes. What we're going to do is Firefighter Gene Finnegan come up here and give us the closing prayer, and then we'll do the bell.
And I'd just like to add thanks for the Elks Club, all of the veterans that are here, and also the Knights of Columbus, and all of the organizations that support us year-round. We wouldn't be able to do the things we do without the support of everybody that you see here. And we thank you for that.
Thank you. I'm Gene Finnegan, Peekskill Fire Department. I also like to mention that my son Ryan Finnegan is doing active duty in the Navy right now. He's serving the USS Toledo. 6 years ago, he was in the band playing an instrument at this ceremony, and today he's serving our country. I'd like to take this minute now for prayers. Dear Lord, thank you for all our veterans that serve this country, have served it in the past, our active duty military that are serving right now. We pray for them, for their families, and for whatever they need, their needs are in this world. Please help this community to support them and make them well for whatever they need to do. We thank you, Lord, for this great country, and we pray that our veterans know that we really appreciate everything they've done for this country. In the name of the Father, and Son, and the Holy Spirit, amen.
Amen.
At this time, we're going to have the bell tolling by Chief John Rose, who's from the fire department. We'll ring the bell 11 times. Chief, please.
Everybody, I'm sorry I couldn't arrange good weather, but thank God you're here. And now I want to invite every one of you to come down to our post where we have some very good food and good comradeship. We have some of the veterans down there that couldn't come here, and we also have Lenny Varela cooking his famous hot dogs. And Lenny, as I say, when you look around in the community, we named the post Captain Oliver C. Chase Jr. after a high school graduate in 1950, and Lenny is his brother-in-law. Captain Oliver C. Chase lost his life saving our troops. After 14 other planes had been shot up, he went in and put the load where it was to save our troops. He did it 2 weeks later and he was killed, but he accomplished his mission. Lenny Varela is one of the men that walked off Pork Chop Hill. Out of 2 battalions, he's one of the ones that walked off. He was a medic. He was also on Old Baldy when it was bombed by our own troop, our own people. And he survived both of those and came home, and he's been the most dedicated member of the American Legion I've ever met in my lifetime. So thank you for being here. Sorry for the weather, and I gotta tell you, the band always makes me feel like we're in good hands and we've got the replacements we need here. Thank you.
I would like to thank everybody for coming. Also, we'll see you on Memorial Day, the good Lord willing. Thank you very much.
I know, I forget it all the time.
Hey, how are you?